Before we get into this video, I need to tell you something about hot dogs because I thought I knew what a hot dog was. I've been eating hot dogs my whole life. You unwrap the package, you put them on the grill, you eat them. That's it. That's the whole system. What I did not know, what nobody told me before I moved to Colombia, is that here, hot dogs come individually wrapped. Not the package. Each hot dog in its own little wrapper, like a tiny present. A present that will ruin your lunch if you don't open it first. And I'm not going to say I learned that the hard way, but I'm also not going to say I didn't. I'm Matt, the Americano. I'm an American who's been living in Colombia for several years, and this is a video about Colombian food. Not a travel guide, not restaurant recommendations. This is the stuff nobody warned me about. The thing you figure out on your own, usually while standing in a kitchen, staring at something, just trying to understand what's happening. These are the 10 food things about Colombia that will stop you in your tracks. Let's start at the beginning. So, the hot dogs. In the US, hot dogs come in a package of 8, 6, maybe 7, depending on the brand, which never lines up with the buns. But that's a different video. In Colombia, hot dogs, called salchichas, often come individually, and each one is wrapped in its own tight plastic casing. Not the natural casing, not something that dissolves, a real plastic wrapper that you have to remove before you cook it. The wrapper does not announce itself. It does not say remove before heating. It's just there. And if you cook the hot dog without removing it, the plastic does not come off cleanly. It becomes part of the experience in a way that it should not be. So before you cook a hot dog in Colombia, look for the wrapper. It's there. It's always there. Take it off first. You're welcome. While we're on the topic of packaging that will confuse you, milk comes in a bag. Not a carton, not a jug, a bag. A soft, floppy, has no structural integrity bag of milk. In the US, milk is a solid container situation. You open the cap, you pour, you close the cap, done. In Colombia, you get a bag. And the bag does not have a cap. You cut the corner off, and then you pour from the corner you just cut. And you store it in the fridge as a bag that is now open at the corner. There are pitchers you can buy specifically to hold the bag, which is a product that exists because the bag needs structural support, which is something you have to buy separately. The bag of milk requires an accessory. I'm just reporting the facts. Now I need to talk about ice. In the US, ice is assumed. You go to a restaurant, your drink has ice. You go to someone's house, there's ice. You need ice for something, you open the freezer, and the ice maker just made some while you were living your life. In Colombia, ice is more of a conversation. Most homes don't have an automatic ice maker. Ice trays exist. Ice is available, but it's not assumed. I have bought ice at a corner store before, and it is one large cylinder of ice that looked like they poured some water in a 1-liter bottle and froze it, and then sold it to you, because that's what they did. If you want ice at a restaurant, you might ask for it, and they'll bring you some ice, a specific amount of ice that was sourced for you, specifically. And you sit there with your carefully allocated ice, thinking about your ice maker back home, running 24 hours a day, making ice that nobody asked for, and you feel something. I don't know what that feeling is, but it's a feeling. Americans love buying things in bulk. We have entire warehouses dedicated to the concept. You can buy 48 rolls of paper towels. You can buy a container of mayonnaise the size of a small child. In Colombia, bulk is not really the model. You buy what you need in the quantity that you need, and you come back when you need more. This applies to almost everything except rice. Rice, Colombia has decided, is different. You can get rice in 5-kilogram bags at the grocery store. For you Americans, that's about 11 pounds. Everything else, reasonable amounts. Soap, 1 bar. Cooking oil, 1 bottle. Rice, here's a sack. I don't know what happened in the meeting where they decided this, but rice is clearly the exception, and nobody is questioning it, including me. I've got plenty of rice. Now I want to give Colombia credit for something, because it's not all confusing. Some of it's just genuinely wonderful. Avocados. In the US, a single avocado costs somewhere between $3 and $4, and it's small, and you have to time it perfectly. The window between not ready and you missed it is about 45 minutes on a Tuesday. In Colombia, avocados are large, they're cheap, and they're everywhere. You're not budgeting for avocados here. You're not making decisions about avocados. You're just eating avocados because they're there, and they're good, and they cost almost nothing. It's one of those things where you've been living wrong your whole life and Colombia shows you the correct version and you just have to sit with that. Okay, I need to take 30 seconds here because this one's worth it. There's a 12,000 square foot lot in Ruitoque Resort, Santander, between Giron and Floridablanca. Asking price is well under $90,000. It's gated, armed security 24 hours, swimming pool, sauna, tennis courts, soccer fields, nature trails, playground for the kids. Water, gas, and electricity hookups already on the lot. The monthly HOA, and I want you to really hear this number, is $45, as in $45 per month. I have a Bucaramanga developer who can build whatever you want on it, from modest to full luxury. Everything's at broker.com. Links below. Okay, back to it. And speaking of fresh things you've been missing, the juice situation in Colombia is something I was not prepared for. In the US, juice means orange juice, maybe apple juice, maybe cranberry if it's a special occasion. That's basically the menu. In Colombia, juice is a category. Lulo, maracuya, guanabana, tomate de árbol, feijoa. These are fruits, real fruits that exist, and they make juice out of them. And the juice is made fresh, right in front of you, from a fruit that was a fruit just a moment ago. And then, and this is important, they ask you how you want it, con agua or con leche, with water or with milk, because apparently some juices go better with milk, which is not something I had a position on before moving here, but I have one now. So you've just discovered all this incredible fresh fruit, mangoes, watermelon, things you've been eating your whole life, and then someone hands you a piece of mango with salt on it and lime, and you think this is a mistake. This is not a mistake. In Colombia, fruit and salt are a completely normal combination. Salt, lime, sometimes chili. Americans expect fruit to be sweet. That's the deal we made with fruit. Colombia renegotiated. And I'll be honest with you, once you try it, it makes a certain amount of sense. The salt brings something out. I'm not going to explain it. It just does. But the first time someone hands you salted mango, you will stand there for a moment. That's normal. Take the mango. Try the mango. I need to spend a little more time on soup, because soup in Colombia is not just a category of food, it's a lifestyle, and it contains combinations of ingredients that I had not considered before arriving here. Let me walk you through a few. Changua is a breakfast soup from Bogotá. It is made with milk and water and eggs poached directly in the milk and water, with stale bread dropped in and scallions on top. It is served in the morning as breakfast. People grew up on this. People love this. People would describe Changua with real warmth and nostalgia. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's a soup for breakfast with milk in it and bread. Calentado is yesterday's rice and beans, reheated and served for breakfast. Not because there was nothing else, because this is the plan. This is a deliberate choice. Colombians eat last night's rice in the morning on purpose. And it is called calentado, which means heated up. They named it for what happened to it. It's just the heated up food, and they serve it for breakfast. Ajiaco is Bogotá's signature soup. Chicken, 3 kinds of potato, an herb called guasca that does not grow anywhere else on earth. I Googled it, and it said it was known as a weed in other regions of the world. It's actually incredible. I want to be clear about that. It is one of the best soups I've ever had, but it contains 3 kinds of potato at the same time in one soup. Not one kind of potato done 3 ways, 3 different potatoes together. Colombia made a decision about potatoes and committed to it fully. And finally, bananas in soup. This is a thing. In some Colombian soups, stews, sancochos, you will find plantain or banana, a fruit, in the soup. And I want to be fair here. Plantain and savory food is actually common throughout Latin America. It makes more sense than it sounds. But the first time you find it, you stop for a second. You look at your spoon and you look at what's on your spoon. And you have a brief private moment. And then you keep eating because it's good. That's the thing about Colombian food. It is almost always good. It's just not what you expected. Okay, hot chocolate. Hot chocolate is something I thought I understood. Warm chocolate, maybe some milk. Marshmallows if it's that kind of day. In Colombia, they put cheese in it. Not on the side, in it. You get your hot chocolate, there is a piece of cheese. It goes in the hot chocolate. It melts. You drink the hot chocolate with melted cheese in it. The first time somebody told me this, I thought they were joking. They were not joking. It is called chocolate santafereño. It is traditional. It is beloved. And the wild thing is, once the cheese melts in, it's actually kind of good. The salt from the cheese does something to the chocolate. I don't fully understand it, but it works. And that is the most Colombian thing I can say about anything. It makes no sense, it works, and you should try it. And finally, aguardiente. This is Colombia's national drink. It is a spirit made from sugarcane. It tastes like black licorice, strong black licorice, that got into a fight with something and won. It is served at every celebration, every gathering, birthdays, holidays, parties, regular Saturdays. Aguardiente is not a drink for a special occasion. Aguardiente is the occasion. The thing about aguardiente is this: you will be offered it. And I don't mean offered like, hey, do you want some? I mean offered like the decision has already been made and you are now part of it. Colombians are warm, generous, inclusive people, And that warmth expresses itself at some point in the evening through Aguardiente. So here's my advice. If it's a weeknight and you have things to do tomorrow, proceed carefully. Aguardiente does not keep track of time. It does not know what day it is. It does not know you have a 9 a.m. call the next morning. It just knows you're at a party, and now so are you. And those are the 10 food things about Colombia that will stop you cold your first month here. Some of them will confuse you. Some of them will genuinely surprise you. And some of them, once you get past the first reaction, will become things you actually love. That's Colombian food. It's not what you expect, but it's good. It is really genuinely good. Just take the wrapper off the hot dog first. If you're thinking about exploring Colombia, I've put together regional guides that break down things like the cost of living, neighborhoods, visas, and what daily life is really like in different parts of the country. You can buy those and the links are in the description below. And be sure to join my newsletter and private community, The Passport, where we have active discussions about living abroad. If you're living in Bogota or thinking about moving here, we also have a community called Bogota Nomads. Our last dinner had 51 people, and so far we've had expats from more than 10 different countries join us. It's also open to English-speaking Colombians. And if you're interested for real estate or international business opportunities, join my broker newsletter. All of the newsletters are free to join, and the links are in the description below. Before we wrap up, I want to mention something happening in the United States that affects millions of Americans. A proposed bill in Congress by Senator Bernie Moreno called SB 3283 would require Americans with dual citizenship to choose one nationality or risk losing their U.S. citizenship. Think about the people you know who hold a second passport. Many of us do, and we don't even realize it. These aren't foreigners, they're Americans. Like my friend Wes, a retired Marine who served our country and married his wife while stationed in Asia. Or Nathan, who met the love of his life while working in Germany. Or the pastor born in Venezuela, who now leads an American congregation. Or Marco, who runs a pizza shop in New York while honoring his Italian ancestry. Millions of Americans have connections to other countries through family, marriage, or heritage. These are the people Senator Bernie Moreno's Exclusive Citizenship Act bill would target. He wants to force them to renounce their heritage or lose their citizenship. But here's the kicker. Moreno himself wasn't even born in the U.S. He was born right here in Bogota, Colombia. We have so many freedoms in the U.S., which is why we're called the land of the free. Why does a man who was born abroad want to take your freedom away? Let's stop this bill. Go to citizenshipfreedom.org and donate today. Every little bit helps. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.